Record, you just hit it. Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the East Lyme Board of Selectmen meeting of October 15th. We're starting immediately following our special executive session, and I'd ask if you'd join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have,
Yes, it
Karen,
is.
do you have an amended agenda because?
You want
how was
this?
that?
I have one, here you go. Take one.
I don't. Is it posted in time, or do we have to? Yes, it's all set? Okay. So we have an amended agenda this evening, which means I don't think we have to do any additional agenda and consent calendar item if the town clerk is happy with the amendment. of
Let's
the
go with
agenda.
the town clerk.
Right? Okay. 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 All right, next item would be delegations. Anybody like to speak to the board under public delegations? Mr. Bialawans?
Good evening, Mr. Formica and other board members. My name is John Bialawans Jr. of 61 Walnut Hill Road in East Lyme, Connecticut.
Good evening, sir.
How you doing? Good. We have some concerns that are bothering a lot of people to the commission. I always get nominated to speak for them, but that's okay. My first concern is about the Madison's Pond, which I mentioned quite a few times before. I won't go into everything that I read about it. I just said that the town dug it out once, and now she's complaining about the soil erosion, about the rocks falling into the brook. And I just go fast. Her father, when he was living, he used to have Earl Ricks pick up the rocks, and, you know, then that would solve the problem. My next concern is about East Lyme Town. The next concern is about the East Lyme dump truck and trailer that was on the Tinker Homestead, picking up flat rocks from the old foundation. I would just like to know where they went and everything else. And also, what did Lindino get for these rocks? I have some extra loam if the town needs it. I wonder what kind of deal I could get, giving them the loan. I'm all fouled up today. The next concern is about the solar farm. The town officials keep telling everyone that asks that they're going to put an injunction on the property September 30th, 2014. What happened to it? The cease and desist is just a slap in the hand for all the sediment and erosion problems that are still there after the March 29th, 14th rainstorm. It wasn't no act of God for these problems. It was Senate Plan and Landito not doing a job complete like they promised the siting council on doing. If they felt that this was going to be problems, change it, not having it to fail twice already. Everyone that bought the solar farm idea now wishes their names weren't involved with it. Also, all the sediment and erosion problems that they caused to taxpayers who live near the solar farm site need to be fixed. Senate Plan and Landino said at a wetlands meeting that they take this problem very seriously, and it's their responsibility to repair the damage to the people affected. You hear enough rumors out there, so I'm asking as a taxpayer to the Board of Selectmen that they should be keeping the best interests, that keep the best interests of the town and taxpayers. What is the deal with that injunction? I feel that the Army Corps of Engineers in Concord, Massachusetts should be called and look into the damage to the wetlands and the tributaries. It failed twice, so what is this last attempt to fix the problem going to do? The solar farm still looks like a big mess, and I know I wouldn't put my name on it or be associated with it. I would also like to know Did Senate Plan and Landino get all their federal and state money for this project yet? Also, are they being fined since the solar farm is not running yet? You try to get answers but are set in the wrong way and you feel it in your gut. Boy, is there a lot of politics involved with this politics, and wish it would go away. I'm really ashamed to live, retire, and be a taxpayer in this town being used this way and being lied to. My family has been here for 100 years, and their tributary has never looked the way it does now, with other bigger storms that came and went. The rainstorm on March 29, 14 was only 3.42 inches. The problem was the farmland was stripped down to the hard pan, so there was no way for the water to go on this solar farm. It was very rushed up job and very secretive project also. The next concern is about Landino's building a home on the Tinker homestead. First he was going to save it and fix it up, but the biggest promise was that if he was going to build homes on the land he owns, he was going to put drains, repave the road from the Tinker house to the Grassy Hill Road, fix the retaining wall on Walnut Hill Road that has all the silt in it from the solar farm. What happened to this promise, or is it just another deal the town gave him? I'm done for tonight, plus I'm nervous, I don't know why. There are other concerns like Walnut Hill Road and Darrell's Ridge, etc. to be answered. Like I said before at the last Selectmen meeting, stop the rumors. Thank you for your time and your answers to these concerns as taxpayers of East Lyme, Connecticut. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Bialystock.
I'm sorry I'm nervous today, I'm fumbling, but
I'm sorry you are
I
too.
don't know why I was doing that.
Thank you.
You are nervous tonight, John. Good Lord.
I'm sorry.
Knocking everything.
All right. It's an antique, so
Huh?
it's an antique. So it's a good thing you didn't break it.
Thank you, John.
I know, I would have.
thank you.
Mr. Barry?
Joe Barry, 111 South Edgewood Road, Niantic. I hope I'm not that nervous so I lose my supper here. But I got a serious issue here, and it's going to cost the town of East Lyme a lot of money if they don't stop paying attention. I did not monitor the initial construction of the Niantic Bay Walkway and promised myself that I would monitor the second go-around. As best I could, with no physical access to the site, I was there at the end of the railroad portion of walkway and witnessed the setting of the first pair of sheets on the hole-in-the-wall portion of the walkway. I personally supervised many sheeting projects, and never have I seen such a debacle of a construction method. It took nearly 2 hours to set and drive the first set of sheets in a haphazard manner. Just as a pancake has two sides, so does construction methods. The right way and the wrong way. The proper way to set and drive sheets in a straight and controlled line is with a strong back or whaler. I'll explain some of these things later on if anybody doesn't know what the terminology is as far as a strong back or whaler goes. This gives the ability to control the direction as well as anchoring free descending sheets, which are known as hitchhikers. The wrong way is to stack and drive each pair in hopes of trying, this is the wrong way. The wrong way is to stack and drive each pair in hopes of trying to stay online, which is not happening. If anybody goes down there and sees the sheet line down there, it looks like a snake. I mean, this is not what we're paying for, or maybe we are paying for this. I'll get to that in a minute. The second big fault with this method is the unwanted travel of sheets past stop elevation. There's an elevation that they're supposed to stop at, and as they drive the next set, this set goes down. That's going to be where your big expense is going to come in. If you go to the site today, you will see large windows in sheeting caused by driving adjacent sheets. There is no way to control this without a strong back or whaler. And when I say windows, you'll see big areas where it looks like windows in the sheets. And that's because the pair next to it is going down, and there's no way for them to hold it. They can't stop that downward descent. I mention these windows now because somewhere down the line, somebody is going to have to pay to fill in these windows. Guess who? I know a couple of you probably won't vote for it, but I know the majority are going to vote, oh yeah, let's just pay for this and get it done so we can move on. This is going to be a very big cost item. I think we all know who that eventually will be. There is no excuse for this construction, and an overrun or extra demanded by contractors should not even be considered. And like I said, this is going to be down the road. I'm saying this today because down the road you're going to be hit with an extra to fill in these voids, and that's going to be coming very shortly. One of the most obvious faults was the absence of an inspector. This is where we failed the first time we did the walkway. Or someone to represent the town for quality assurance and control. If there is an inspector or town representative, he should remove his disguise and step forward and take action. If a project starts off bad, you can be assured that it's going to end up bad. Who is going to pay for a third go-around? This is my concern. Who's going to pay for the third time? I mean, the first time cost $4 million. The second time cost almost $6 million. The third time is going to cost how much? And where are we going to get the money the third time? So my questions are, who is monitoring this project? As it was with the first project, the monitor or the controlling officer on that project was paid by the contractor. Wasn't paid by the town, he was paid by the contractor, and that's how, I can't even, I gotta be careful how I say it, but I believe things were manipulated to a point, satisfied certain people, and later on was found to be false. You know, I went through the books myself, and I found so many inconsistencies, errors, and omissions that were done in that log keeping. I would love to see the log today, to see how they're gonna write up these big windows. The last thing is, who's going to pay for the sheets to fill in the windows? There is some, I think they might have maybe 75 feet in. And in that 75 feet, I think there's probably 8 voids already. That's double sheets, 8 voids, probably 5 or 6 feet high, deep. That adds up to a lot of money. Those sheets they don't come free. It's not like buying a 2x4. Those sheets are expensive. And the concern I have is, again, who's going to pay for it? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barry.
Thanks, Joe.
Anyone else like to speak under public delegations? Mr. Peterson.
Craig Peterson, 56 Walnut Hill Road. Got a few comments about the solar field and some questions hopefully you'll be able to help me with. Many months before the catastrophe up there, where the basin spilled over, a neighbor, and the neighbor, by the way, was not Mr. Bialowans, and I walked the fields. And at that stage, we found that the sediment beds were practically filled in at that stage, months before the accident. And we said to ourselves, this is just a disaster waiting to happen. And I think the reason it didn't happen sooner was simply because it was cold. There was a lot of frozen ground that lasted for a long time and not that much precipitation. Don Danila, who's a retired environmental scientist at Millstone, has been doing some studies of that stream, and he's made some comments. I believe these comments were to the Inland Wetlands Commission, and I'd like to share just a small amount of his comments. It says, data from the United States Geological Survey rainfall gauge located in East Lyme gives a total of 3.94 inches for the storm event. He then references comments and data that were presented at a public hearing May 5th from the constructors. And then it goes on to state, of importance is that the owners group stated that the rainfall exceeded a 10-year storm. I do not know whether this statement or their stated rainfall totals were given in honest error or deceptively. Goes on further. Using information from the owner's own consultant, the storm in question was not a 10-year event. The actual data appear to indicate that the rainfall from this storm would be far more likely to reoccur within a shorter time frame. Thus, all the more reason to ensure that both adequate erosion controls and stormwater handling systems are in place at the solar farm site to prevent further occurrences of this kind. Now, I'm retired, and I have a wife that likes to be chauffeured sometimes for shopping. And some of you can imagine how boring that might be for a male. So frequently, I use the excuse of taking the dogs for a walk to walk around the property of many commercial spots. And I've always had a particular interest, for some reason, in drainage and sediment ponds. And I've seen a number of them in Connecticut, in other states in the Union, and in Europe. And I can tell you, I walked the periphery of that field this Columbus Day, and I've never seen such a rinky-dink setup as that one. I will applaud the Inland Wetlands Commission for deciding to extend the cease and desist order at least until the spring rainfall hopefully has occurred. My concern at that point is that the Groton water data indicates that we're at least 12 inches behind normal right now. And it's going to take a long time for that to recharge. In addition, I've talked to people who live in that area and have worked on that property and driven machines over it. And they tell us that when it's been filled in completely and there's a water charge there, it's extremely difficult for them to move their machines around, haying machines, things like that. So I think and I hope the town takes some further recourse. And if anything, I'd suggest with a cease and desist order or an injunction or whatever, that at least some type of photographic record be kept. And I'm suggesting that any rain event over 0.4 inches be recorded for at least 5 years so we can keep track of what's happening there. A couple of questions, and hopefully you can help me with this. The brook itself has come up as a unnamed tributary. So it has no name. So I think it's probably time for us to get a name for it. I have a name in mind, which is Folly Brook. And I would love to know how to get that brook named officially. Is there some way to do it? Second, the Connecticut Siting Council, and I've got their decision and order of May 16th, 2013. It says, amongst other things, the development and management plan for the site shall be served on the town of East Lyme for comment. I'm wondering if that ever occurred and what our comments were. And those of us who attended a lot of the hearings constantly heard that they were going to keep the topsoil, not remove it. They were going to use the wood chips to cover the land and stop erosion. None of that occurred as far as we can make out. So again, what happened? Who's keeping track of this? Finally, just a final comment. I mean, one reason we have government is to protect the environment and the residents nearby from the destruction that businesses of some types cause to us. And we've got to, as a government, make sure we protect our wetlands and help the neighbors around who have had a disaster thrust on them. And aside from walking around the retention ponds, I also followed the entire brook down to where it runs into Cranberry Meadow. And I know it's kind of a trek. You've got to go through a lot of thorns and stuff like that. But if anybody wants to see a mess, take a walk down there. It'll take you some time. You may need a machete to get through some of it. But take a look at what really happened. You can't miss it. And in some spots, it's not repaired yet. There's open spots where they've got little plastic flags that say certain types of vegetation is supposed to be in there. It's not. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Anyone else like to speak under public delegation? Thank you. Hearing none, we'll move to the approval of minutes of the special meeting of October 1st, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made. Second, is there a discussion on these minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Next item would be the approval of minutes of the regular meeting of October 1st, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Made, seconded, is there a discussion on these minutes?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
The pages are not numbered, but it's page 3, under ex officio reports. Statement begins with Ms. Hardy said she attended the zoning meeting last week and on a remand order where they had to look at Bride Brook. I'd like to have the words nursing facility and rehabilitation center added. As the way it's written, it sounds as though it literally is Bride Brook.
Okay.
That's all that I have.
Anything else?
No.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the minutes as corrected?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Motion carries. Consent calendar?
Yeah, I move to approve the consent calendar for the meeting of October 15, 2014, the amount of $1,365.33.
Second.
Motion is made and second. Is there a discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate so by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstain? Motion carries. Next item would be the resolution authorizing to sign and deliver a funding application to the Small Town Economic Assistance Program, a 2 OPM for Cheney Park restrooms, and the continuation of the water and sewer project to get bathrooms down to that facility. Mr. Gaishel is here to discuss that. You have a copy of the overview in your packet, and we just need a resolution for an authorization on that item.
I move the following. Be it resolved that we, the Board of Selectmen, constituting the legislative body of the town of East Lyme, hereby authorizes the first selectman to sign and deliver a certain funding application, Small Town Economic Assistance Program, STEEP, grant for Cheney Park restrooms, water and sewer project with the Office of Policy Management, OPM, of the state of Connecticut.
Second.
Resolution has been made and seconded. Is there a discussion on this item?
Yes.
Ms. Hardy?
As I've mentioned before, when this was first proposed, the public was promised that this would be an undeveloped area. It would remain as much as possible in its natural state, without asphalt, which does not allow drainage. right next to the water. And we were also told that there would not be water and sewer available there. It would remain more of a natural state. I realize that times have changed somewhat, but I still am not in favor of commercial development of this parcel. So I will remain consistent, and I will not vote for this.
Further discussions?
I also am not in favor of commercial development, but this is more of a public service for the people who will be using our beaches and our opened boardwalk whenever that happens. So I am in favor of this.
Further comments?
Just for clarification, and Gary can probably comment on this, just to ensure that this won't affect any of the area that is now set aside for the park area.
No, we have an area that we developed next to one of the docks.
Yeah, but what's remaining right now is for people to relax and so forth will stay. Won't be affected. Thank you.
Further comments or conversation? Hearing none, then all those in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed?
Motion is 5-1. I'm sorry, opposes. Next item is the J-Luce resolution that we spoke initially about at the last meeting. As you recall, this is an opportunity to do a study and get a grant for the property around the Stones Ranch Military Reservation and Camp Niantic to determine compatible uses. Mr. Gaishel is here. He worked on this particular grant for some time, and town council is here as well if we have any particular questions. We did ask to give us a couple of weeks to revisit this after the last meeting, and here it is. So I open it up for discussion if anybody would like to start, or if you'd like to have a motion, or where would you like to start on this item?
We'll put a motion on the floor.
Why don't we do that? We'll put a motion on the floor, and then we'll talk about it. I'll move the following. Be it resolved that the Board of Selectmen, constituting the legislative body of the town of East Lyme, hereby authorizes the first selectman to sign and deliver an agreement with the Department of Defense, acting through the Office of Economic Adjustment, OEA, pertaining to a joint land use study, JLUS, regarding Stones Ranch Military Reservation and Camp Niantic.
Second?
Made and seconded. Discussion, please.
I'll start off.
Ms. Hardy.
Under the overview, I wonder if Mr. Getchell would be prepared to answer. Under the overview, it states that this affects the towns of East Lyme, Old Lyme, and Lyme. I'm wondering if they are requiring are they requesting similar funds for this?
No, those towns are part of this process. They will be a part of a technical committee as well as a policy committee. So, for example, the first selectman over at Old Lyme as well as Lyme will be a part of that policy committee. Their staff, such as myself, have been, based on we'd use their salaries to figure out the budget, and in doing so, they provide technical support in addition to the contracted consultant.
Okay, so this will be the sum total of money.
That's correct.
Okay.
I guess to clarify, the $12,000 that has been already awarded, once we go out to an RFP and we get those proposals back, we will then amend the grant application to amend the budget to cover the total cost, just so you're clear on that.
And what happens if this project cannot be done for the amount of money that's provided here?
Well, I think what I've been advised from OEA is that we amend the grant to cover whatever